Lab-grown meat will be on sale in the UK for people to eat within the next 2 years. The Food Standards Agency is looking at how it can speed up the approval process for other lab-grown foods as well, including sugar and dairy products. They say that it's over concerns that current regulations mean UK scientists are losing ground to competition overseas where lab-grown meat is already available. Singapore became the first country to approve the sale of cell-cultivated meat for people to eat, followed by the United States 3 years later and Israel last year. We talked about it on this show, actually, because dog food made from meat grown in a lab went on sale in the UK for the first time last month. So let's find out a little bit more about the process. The Conservative MP George Freeman is a former Minister for Agricultural Science, Research and Innovation and chairs the all-party parliamentary group on science and technology. George, hello, welcome to the show.
Evening, Tony.
It's interesting. As I said there, many people want this process to be speeded up. So what is lab-grown meat essentially, George?
So it is. I've been to labs and seen it, and then I've eaten it. It is a laboratory process in which meat is grown from what are called cell cultures. So they take the basic cell of meat and then replicate it and grow meat in a laboratory. And all I can tell your listeners is when you then taste it, you can't tell the difference. And I had some chicken, and it was just grilled, fried, I think. Right. And I couldn't taste any difference. And the point is really, this isn't going to replace the really delicious piece of beef or the delicious bit of pork but for curries, for processed food, this is a way of, several things. Dramatically increasing global production. We're in danger of running out of food to feed 9 billion people. We've got to find some new protein sources. Secondly, many people don't want to eat factory-farmed meat, and open-reared, the healthiest and most beautiful meat is very expensive. So for most people, they can't afford it. So it's a cheap source of good protein for people, and it's also sustainability. Agriculture is responsible for 20% of global methane, global greenhouse gas emissions. Large-scale intensive factory farming units are not the answer. So it's one tool in the global challenge of feeding 9 billion mouths.
Is it going to be, when it is available, is it going to be a lifestyle choice, or is it the fact that it's going to be considerably cheaper?
I think my central point really is that this is not going to replace the joy of, the Christmas meal, the breakfast bacon, whatever the meat is and I love meat. But I think for a lot of meat in sort of curries, in sauces, in frozen food, in processed foods, where you're not buying the joint, you're not buying the piece of meat, it's meat in a processed food product. This is a hugely attractive alternative, dramatically cheaper, and can be grown in a way that doesn't require any factory farming and doesn't require the same emissions. So it's not an either or. I think for many consumers, it will reduce cost and hugely increase the sustainability of the products they're buying.
And what about food safety? Because there are all sorts of worrying signs that, we're told not to eat too much processed food now. So won't this compound that?
Well, obviously, and the regulatory approval for these meats has got to be done absolutely properly. And by the way, that's a big opportunity for the UK. We're a global standard setter in regulation. But there is absolutely no reason to think that these lab-grown meats should have any of the health side effects that a lot of processed meat has today. And, people who are looking at their diet and talking to doctors, and I mean, many people now, the advice is to avoid heavily processed meat. These lab-grown meats are literally grown using the pure meat cells, so that there is no reason to be to fear the side effects.
Okay.
But obviously, it has to be tested properly, and consumers will want to see that evidence.
Well, and on that, just finally, the Food Standards Agency said they are speeding up, but couldn't Italy have banned the development for various states in America as well? And one of the concerns is that the firms involved with this kind of food are being encouraged by the FSA to join in the consultation. So people think that the industry is almost policing itself. Is that a genuine concern?
Well, I don't think it should be. I can see how it's been reported that way, and customer confidence is key, right? So consumers really need to have confidence. So the industry needs to make sure that these stories are not true and are properly dismissed. But I think what's going on here is that countries like ours, and I've been a big advocate of this, trying to lead the world in setting the new regulatory standards. And that means creating what are called sandboxes, test beds, where we invite people around the world who are developing these products to bring them here so that we can test them using the very best science, the very best evidence. And that's a big opportunity for the UK as well, actually, to be a global tester of these. And that requires industry to cooperate, which is what's happening. So it is not in the interests of any of these companies. And by the way, we've got a large number of these companies here in the UK. It's not in their interests to undermine consumer confidence at all. So I think this is an exciting opportunity, but I don't want to suggest that it's a replacement for the glory of a piece of meat.
No, you made that clear. Yeah, George, good to speak to you. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you.
Thank you. Conservative MP George Freeman, chair of the All-Party Parliamentary Group on Science and Technology. So, lab-grown meat available in Israel, in the States, in Singapore. Have you ever tried it? Let us know, 85058. What do you make of the whole idea? Jackie Kearney is a chef.